Hi everybody, I just got done with my action board meeting and I wanted to let all of our chairs and our action board members know how you can really get a very powerful meeting in really only 90 minutes, create almost 120 connections. That's what we just got done doing. And what we did is we used basically the Rainmaker model that we use to build strategic relationships right here in the office. And we took everybody's business through these four aspects and built strategic relationships out of each one of these aspects. Now, the key difference of how we ran this meeting is two things. A, everybody was standing. When people are standing, they tend to be more engaged and they don't go on and on and on with stories because people start to look at them weird because they're the person standing telling a story and everybody else wants to get back at it. The second thing happens when you're doing a standing meeting is everybody had a marker for the whiteboard. So everybody could come in and contribute just as they thought of it. They had that spontaneous generated idea. They walked to the board, they wrote it on the board, they put a name of who they thought might be a good connection. And so what happened is we went through everybody's business. So let's say that we started with Nick Carter and we started talking about the food chain relationships that Nick had. And for Nick, it was agencies. There were people that could potentially market and sell his products and service. And so everybody that knew an agency would grab a marker, their color, and they would put the name, the initials, let's say LM, of who they knew that was an agency. And so we went really fast. It was just a spontaneous kind of creation of the idea that they could put on the wall. And then we went to niche. And for niche, what Nick was trying to do is find other business coaches because they have a lot of relationships with agencies. And so let's say that somebody else had a name and we did CJ McClanahan and we would put his name on there. And sometimes another board member would come up there and they would write in their color. And they would just go right and add people to the circle. And then we went to decision maker. He really wanted to find people that blogged on marketing, people that were leaders in the market that influenced a lot of agency and a lot of business coaches. Let's say that person would be our own Doug Carr with Rainmakers. And so they would put Doug in there, right? And he'd put the initial in there. And so when you have everybody adding to this, everybody putting on the wall their ideas and possible strategic connections, you just get this variable massive tree that connected everyone. Trigger event was a little bit harder and I had to facilitate that out. The trigger event that Nick was really looking for was agencies that were maybe lost one of their major clients and they were looking for another way to grow revenue. And so that was the trigger event that created new ideas. The other thing that we found for Nick from a trigger event were partnering software as a service partners that he could potentially create strategic relationships with. And so we talked about Delivra as a possible partner. And I knew Neil Berman was a possible strategic connection. So I only created 4 or 5 strategic connections. But when you add in the 20 members, this tree got very big. And what we did for Nick is create possibly 20 strategic connections for him. Now, the follow-up is key, how you end that meeting. It took us about 10 minutes to get through Nick. So everybody's going to get 10 minutes. So this is probably going to take a good 2 hours. But at the end, what I did is I would go through every single initial and I said, who's LM? And people would go, oh, that's me. I own that. And say, okay, Jim, your job is to introduce, or Nick, write down LM, Larry Marietta, to Jim. And Jim and Nick's responsibility was to email Jim and to say, hey, what can I do with that bridge? What do I need to do to earn that? And at the end, Nick had about 20 names with an arrow. So it would look something like this. LM, Larry, which was the person that would bridge him. And he would create a list 20 deep. And then he would have a to-do list after that meeting to connect with Larry to get bridged to LM or to find out how he could do that or to do a one-on-one to earn the right to get introduced. What happened out of this meeting is we created about 112 good strategic connections in just 2.5 hours. If you're going to be a great chair, if you're going to really pull out of that room all the genius that exists there, you have to commit with everything you got to facilitate out of that room the genius. Stop administrating, start facilitating, be a great chair.